I've made a lot of rankings on this channel over the past year and a half, and I've recently been getting bored of that. So as a prelude to my big coaster trip this July, I will upload a couple videos that will be quite unique for this channel. In this video, I will be starting at the bottom for both categories and work my way up until I get to the most underrated roller coaster I've ridden. Also, this list is pretty independent from my overall ranking, so there will be no placement spots in the upper left hand corner. With that out of the way, let's get into it. To start off, the fifth most overrated roller coaster I've ridden is Demon at Six Flags Great America. I will say that the great moments are as good as people say, but there is a lot of dead space here. In particular, that turn right before the corkscrews is really slow and forceless. I get why people like it a lot, but I can't ignore a huge dud of an element like that one. For my fifth most underrated roller coaster, I'm going with Mamba at Worlds of Fun. In this case, it really comes down to those trims. I bet that not a lot of people have really experienced this ride without the trims, so they don't know how good the finale is. In that case, I don't blame them, but this ride should have gotten more recognition for that change, and now they're undoing it. The fourth most overrated roller coaster for me is Max Force at Six Flags Great America. I feel like people put too much focus on the launch. When they praise this ride, they mostly talk about the launch. Like Demon, there are a couple tamer moments on this ride that I feel like people are ignoring. Granted, that barrel roll is fantastic, and the tamer elements aren't too much of a letdown, but they get ignored quite a bit. Taking the spot for the fourth most underrated roller coaster for me is Rougarou at Cedar Point. This is just a classic case of a decent ride getting washed out within Cedar Point's lineup. This ride doesn't get attention because of all of the standout rides at this park. The positives are good and quite consistent, and there are even a couple surprising pops of laterals. In third place for the most overrated roller coaster is Gemini at Cedar Point. I get it, the racing aspect is fun, but what else does this ride have? The airtime hills provide decent floater, and I'll admit, those final ones are pretty strong. My main problem here is that the turnarounds don't do anything for me, and they cover a huge portion of the ride. Again, the racing aspect is fun, but it doesn't fully make up for the lackluster forces. In third place for the most underrated roller coaster here is Wolverine Wildcat at Michigan's Adventure. Like Gemini, the big turnarounds don't do much, but they don't take up as big of a portion on this ride, and the moments in between are actually pretty good. Those bunny hops actually gave me some quick floater airtime pops. It actually is a quite nice compliment to Shivering Timbers. The second most overrated roller coaster here is Prowler at Worlds of Fun. Going into my first ride, I had heard that this ride was filled with quick ejector pops and great doses of laterals all the way through. That was not the case for me. I got some decent forces in the first half, but it was crawling in the second half. I didn't even get any floater airtime. I honestly compared it more to Zambezi Zinger in the same park than I did Renegade at Valleyfair. The only reason this isn't number one is because this ride has normally not been like that in years before my visit. The second most underrated roller coaster for me is a tie between Flash Vertical Velocity at Six Flags Great America and Steel Venom at Valleyfair. I feel like these rides get glossed over because they have a cloned layout, and there's at least one other coaster in their parks that's better. Also, the launches are much more punchy than people give them credit for, and the spikes can be crazy, especially in Steel Venom's case because of the holding brake. For me, the most overrated roller coaster I've ridden is Thunderation at Silver Dollar City. People have claimed this ride to be really intense with some great airtime moments. Frankly, I don't see that. It's definitely one of the more intense aero coasters I've ridden, but that's not a high bar for me. I also felt that the airtime was pretty weak. Honestly, the only part I fully agree on with the general consensus is that it's really nice not having the ride finish with a lift hill. To finish, The most underrated roller coaster I've ridden is Hollywood Rip Ride Rocket at Universal Studios Florida. I can see why people didn't like this ride, but I land far from that opinion. I do agree that the constant mid-course brake runs were a little annoying, but they didn't slow me down at all, so I didn't mind them. There also happened to be a few intense moments, even towards the end. This was also towards the end of this ride having a large music selection, so I enjoyed having the music I specifically wanted. That will be the end of this video. I hope you can get past my execution of this video idea. I certainly want to try more videos that aren't just random rankings. I hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.